really didn't matter what the x-rays or the ultrasound showed. You were going to get a chunk of your breast removed. That really doesn't happen anymore. Biopsies that, and this is not only here, this is across the country, that we perform are needle biopsies. Yes, they're larger than a needle that you get a shot in the arm with, but they're done under local anesthesia. Their noses, a woman can really maintain or go right back to her normal activity by and large. Right after the biopsy, she can certainly drive herself home, and if she wants to cook dinner, she can, although sometimes I'll write a prescription not to cook dinner. So I think that, again, is an area where they're just a little bit out of touch in terms of what's really practiced.
You get the feeling that they're talking about things they've heard about, but they have to somebody who's been there. And, you know, I think that maybe that is where they're in error a little bit. They should talk to the source, go to the source.
And this whole thing about overdiagnosis, the task force does go into, well, we find cancers that would perhaps never have hurt the woman, and she would die of something else. You know, her likelihood of dying of something else before the cancer kills her is high. But you don't know that in prospect. That's something that someone sits down in retrospect and looks and says, well, this, that, and the other. My other sort of beef with that is that, look, I'm a detective. My job is to detect cancer. The responsibility of whether to treat someone and how to treat them is not mine. That is a whole different field of expertise. And that's a field that they are working on. For example, it used to be that every woman that had a breast cancer got chemotherapy. That's no longer the case. Your breast cancer, for the most part, needs to be a centimeter or larger. So they are making advances in the treatment end of it, but I don't think you stick your head in the sand and say, let's just not find it. I think that you lay all the cards on the table, and then the woman, along with the experts in treatment, you know, decide on how to proceed.
Yeah, I agree. I was really shocked by that. If a woman finds out that she has ductal cancer in situ, the DCIS, which is in the article, if that's what they're referring to, I couldn't sit still if I were diagnosed and not take some action. Go to an oncologist, go to a surgeon. What do you recommend? And I would most likely make a decision about. But that is the patient's choice, as far as I can see. And I would really, I really questioned that. I didn't understand that at all.
And you know what she said about them saying that some of these cancers may not mature to the point that they kill somebody, you may die with something else. Every one of us may leave here kissed by a Mack truck. But I would prefer to get French kissed by a Mack truck without breast cancer. You know, if I have a choice, I want to do everything that I can to prevent this from happening. You know.
And else about this, like taking the human feelings out of this and not seeing the people. I mean, the younger people are, you know, you have young kids. My kids were 10 and 6. And, you know, I can't imagine them growing up with them had I not done the self-exam and had I not came in, you know. And I told my doctor when I went to see my oncologist, I don't care what you do. I want to see my babies grow up. You know, throw whatever you've got at me. I want this to be like a 1% chance of coming back. And clinical trials, whatever you have, I want it.
And even statistics that I've read, and I'm sure, well, you all being more into it than I am, every statistic that I've heard recently on the news, there are fewer breast cancers recently, or at least that's what I've heard.
That's true, and that's in the report. They do admit that mammography has saved lives too.
So that's both sides of the coin.
So why wouldn't you continue with the path that's been
works.
working?
Thing that I read, I have Dr. Susan Love's breast book. I think I have the latest one, and when I was first diagnosed, I couldn't read it. It was just overwhelming to me, and I am a nurse, but I couldn't read it. But since I've been working on this project, I've read it, and I find it to be very interesting. And she was explaining the Shanghai study, which is one of the studies that where the breast self-exam turned out to be not significant. What her thought was is that women even if they don't formally do a breast self-exam, they might poke around or take a shower or, things like that, and that the breast cancer incidence and death rate was exactly the same, with the breast self-exam and the other people. So that's how she explained that could possibly have happened. So I thought that was kind of interesting, but it would seem like your chances would be much better if you actually, didn't be so casual about it.
As hard as it is to believe, we have 1 more minute.
Oh.
And, we could go on forever, I think, but is there one thing that you all would like to say quickly in a minute?
Well, to all those women out there who are wondering whether they should continue to get their annual mammogram, yes, please do, for yourself and for your family's sake.
Yeah, I think it's imperative to do that. And the American Cancer Society still says stick with that.
And if you have no family history, do yourself and make sure you get your checkups, because it can happen.
Because most women who get
Don't.
breast cancer do not have a family history.
Right.
So get your mammogram.
That was the hardest thing for me to believe.
I thank you all for being here. I hope we can come back and do this again, because I think this is that we need to get out to the public. Women are confused about this. I hope you've enjoyed this special edition of Lynchburg Live. Please stay tuned. We have some really good holiday programs coming up. Have a happy Thanksgiving. Let us know anything you'd like to tell us. Write to our AOL account at lynchburglive@aol.com. Have a good evening. Thank you very much. Good night.
Thank you for the sunshine.